how do we produce alternative desires, right? How does it happen that people now can empower themselves differently? You know, you were talking about energy use, oil dominant energy. I would ask, you know, where is alternative energy emerging? Where do you see it happening?
Something that's been really highlighted for me living in the pandemic is the way that certain kinds of energies have been pathologized. Slower patterns of life, speech, and thought. We see this in colonized communities, in marginalized communities, that these patterns of speech and thought and life that are less productive, less efficient, less driven for action, are marginalized, even seen as less moral, or less human. And in a neoliberal capitalist context, these energies, they're not just devalued or pathologized, but as I said, they're seen as less moral. And so I'm thinking here about Jack Halberstam's The Queer Art of Failure, or I mentioned before Karen Bray's, she's a political theologian, her book Grave Attending. So Bray's book is a great example of a resource for thinking about the theoeconomic forms of redemption that we have available to us in neoliberalism, and then what modes of living and feeling get marginalized, repressed, or pathologized. And so I think it's really interesting that it turns out that these unproductive, unredemptive modes of living and patterns of life are exactly the kind of energies that we need to embrace to stay well and to live well, confined to small spaces in the pandemic. But they're also the kinds of energies that need to be embraced to address energy-driven climate crisis as well.